It's the final day of the season in the GT Cup Europe in 2023. This is qualifying 2 for the second race of the weekend. The drivers are out on track now for this 20-minute qualifying session. Very cool conditions out there as it's only just gone past 9 a.m. Here in Barcelona, so temperatures are still very cool, just 9 degrees air temperature, and not much warmer on the track either. But currently the fastest time being set by the team that was crowned champions yesterday, Mertel Motorsports number 80 machine Ivan Velasco. His teammate Jorge Cabezas was third on the grid yesterday. They went on to be crowned champions despite having their worst finish of the season, but such has been the performance of that car throughout the year, they have been able to accrue enough of an advantage over the Q1 track racing pair of Laurent van der Velde and Zander Prisbalak, who were also crowned AM champions yesterday. And here's a look at our provisional pole sitter. Currently has a time of 1 minute 48.646 on the board. And his Ferrari 488 challenge going gun-ho in the early stages of this qualifying session. My name is Chris Stevens. Alongside me is George Morgan. And George, we've got one last race to settle everything.
One last chance to dance here, Chris Stevens. We're here at the very last round of the GT Cup Open Championship, I should say, here at Barcelona. Always great to be here for the final round. Always delivers in an abundance. Certainly now with the amendments to the circuit that we're now seeing right in front of us, with Ivan Velasco taking the Lakea section coming out of turn 10 and heading up through Sector 3 proper, where he will not meet the chicane that used to be there, of course, that being the chicane RACC. Coming through Europe car, it's a straight run down through towards New Holland. Ivan Velasco already going fast, as you alluded to, but Andrea Bellici has just taken that away with a full purple lap through sectors 1, 2 and 3 in a 1:45.388. So stunning showing already. Blasts away on Velasco's time by 3.2 seconds. Can Velasco improve, though, again to decrease the deficit? Yes, just ever so slightly. He has actually gained a little bit in sectors 1 and 3 as well, so credit to him. But yes, great to be back, and the championship looks pretty home and hosed. We've been looking at the points today as well, applying the drop scores, and it looks like, for sure, Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas are champions.
Yeah, it certainly does. They have taken a fair few number of wins so far this season, 3 of them in fact, and they've only on 2 occasions, including yesterday, not finished on the podium. So their consistency has been incredibly impressive from a team and a car that is making its first appearance in this championship this year. Where the Ferrari 488 has been a very welcome addition to this GT Cup grid. It used to be rather dominated by the Porsches, and the Porsche's still certainly making up the number of cars, 12 of them being the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, 9 of them being the 992 specification, 19 cars on this grid in total, and 5 Ferrari 488 challenges. And the battles we've seen between them have been incredibly fun to watch. The Ferrari has been very fast in a straight line. The Porsche tends to own the wiggly bits. So here in Barcelona, the Porsche has been pretty handy. Q1 Track Racing's Jan Lauritsen took the victory yesterday. In fact, Q1 Track Racing rather dominated themselves with victory in the AM classification as well, and a 1-2 finish for them as well. But of course, George, we've got 2 new cars on the grid, as we just see Velasco pulling into the pit lane, but we have 2 new cars. NM Racing have brought the Mercedes, and here's another one, that Team Oregon, who we're very familiar with from the international GTOpen, but they've brought their Super Trofeo.
They have Marzio Moretti as well at the wheel, the man who has been hailed by Lamborghini as a star to watch, and one to watch. Sheer maturity for such a youthful young man, only 21 years of age, Marzio Moretti, as he makes his way around the final corner. Quentin Antonell, second fastest. Stephen Licorice just popped his car third fastest as well. Coming across the line now comes the Oregon car of Moretti. Of course, at this stage, Leonov now goes second fastest as well. So Evgeny Leonov entering the fold, and he himself, who has had a very tricky season to boot. It hasn't been easy for Leonov, but now looking to come back. Perhaps he can end this season on a high note.
I do love watching this Lamborghini on track. You can see the weight transfer as he throws out the anchors on the braking for turn
one.
one.
Front end as well, isn't it?
Yep, and every time he turns it around, so watch it, he rocks forward, he wrestles with the back end. You can see it lean over to one side through the corners. If you want to learn about weight transfer in a car, just watch one of these going around. This is absolutely fantastic. But Moretti very well acquainted with this car now, having raced in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe for 2 seasons. He has won races there, currently setting the pace in the first sector as well. Quentin Antonell returning the serve in the middle sector for the time being as well, but still just under 11 minutes left on the clock for this session. Of course, Moretti also familiar with Cup machinery from Carrera Cup Italia. He ran in that for 2 seasons as well as the Ultimate Cup Series when he first made the switch from single-seaters in Italian F4 over to GTs.
Yeah, Quentin Antonell going fastest as well at the top with a purple Sector 3 that launched him into the 144.664s, but Moretti has taken the first 2 purple sectors himself. Obviously up on his time, and by 0.6 of a second at the very least, makes his way around the final couple of corners. Canaccio now goes 6th fastest, relegating Licorice, Ryman and Velasco down a place apiece. Velasco's back in the pits now, as is Andrea Bellici. Here comes Moretti up towards the line. Will he go fastest? He will, and that's a great time. 1:43.520 here at this point with 10 minutes to go. A statement of intent, and yes, absolutely right, Chris. Looking at this sheer physicality behind the use of this car, you just see a twitch. That is how aggressive this car truly is. And you just see how the ride height just drops instantly as soon as he applies the force of the brakes. Entering the apexes, it's a pleasure to watch.
It's absolutely fantastic, and because both this and the Mercedes, which was initially bred for GT2 machine racing, but has been adapted to GT Cup regulations. Oh, we've got a spinner there, the EST1 car. That is the 77 of Indrik Jaska. His return to the series this weekend, but he's facing the wrong way at turn 4, and the Volcano car choosing to go the other way as Jaska just
Leonov's had a bad enough time. He didn't need that whatsoever.
5th consecutive non-score, and I think for the 3rd round in a row, a first lap retirement as well. He was rather wiped out. If you didn't see yesterday's race, it was a bit of a clumsy start initially, but the Kessel Ferrari lost its hope of winning the AM Championship as it took to the escape road and slid off, came back across the track and took 3 cars with him, including that Volcano Motorsport Porsche of Evgeny Leonov, who hasn't scored points since he won the Spa Enduro back in May. And this was back when we were considering a championship contender, but unfortunately it all went rather south after that. This is the number 57 Q1 track racing car. The second of this, is that the same car that's gone off at turn 4? That looked like the back of Jaska's car. He's just taking his time, getting it pointing in the right direction. But yes, this second car finished 2nd in the AM Championship yesterday. Yes, it is still Indrik Jaska trying to find a way through. We saw the Kessel in the International GTOpen yesterday make that mistake at turn 5 and brought out a safety car. So he's clearly been watching the other races this weekend, and Indrik Jaska finds reverse. And hopefully now needs a bit more lock on that, doesn't it, that Porsche? But finally, there we go.
Well done,
we got going again.
Fantastic.
Just under 8 minutes left on the clock. Here's Evgeny Leonov, the man we were just talking about. Born in Tomsk, Russia, but racing under a Maltese license. That team very well acquainted with TCR machinery, particularly here in Spain. The team was Spanish endurance TCR champions back in 2020, and they have seen a bit of success over in TCR Europe as well. But this is the team's first season in GT racing. And Leonov just kicking up a little bit of dirt on the exit of turn 5 there, but certainly they've been another very welcome addition to the grid, and for a team that's in its first season of GT racing and driver as well, then they've been doing a great job. Despite what it says on the scoreboard, they've been incredibly unlucky, but very fast.
Yeah, they certainly have. Ibanez now going 3rd fastest, and in that brand new Mercedes car that has come to this race weekend, obviously alluding to the 2 new manufacturers that we have joining us this round of the championship, including that of the Lamborghini that we saw earlier on. Evgeny Leonov improving in the first 2 sectors, not quite purple though at this point. There is yesterday's pole sitter Jan Lauritsen. Welcome back, of course, to a former champion And of course, champion of 2022, winner here yesterday, and not to mention winner here back in 2021 as well. He'll be looking to perhaps go back-to-back, but will of course have to suffer through an extensive handicap just due to the fact of his success yesterday, as he now sends his car through the double right-hander. His family were watching on. Of course, we saw them during qualifying. Come straight into the pit lane though to reassess, and with 6 minutes to go, he's got enough time. He can sit tight. Obviously, Moretti's in the pits as well. You certainly fathom that he will go out again. Obviously, only setting a 1:43.520. The sole man in the 1:43s right now, with just over 9/10 of a second separating Lauritsen and Moretti up at the sharp end, with Ibanez now down in third, Quentin Antonell in fourth. Highest AM in terms of the classification right now, with Xander Prispalak, who is champion here in this AM contingent too. Of course, his partner in crime, Laurent van der Velde, joining him as well, as we now see Luc Ibanez going green in the middle sector.
Yes, this is that Mercedes AMG Cup car that's been adapted to these regulations, making its debut with NM Racing, and NM being the driver Nil Montserrat, the Spanish driver who used to race in Euroformula with GT Sport organisation and in Formula Renault 3.5 as well, and his team fielding this car. They have been fielding a lot in the GT4 championships, particularly the European series, and I believe in French GT4 Cup as well, with Luc Ibanez, who's been running in Mercedes cars since 2020, so he's definitely been working his way up the order. Andrea Bellici in the Rosso Corsa Ferrari, here he is, setting good pace here. At the moment, it's Lamborghini from Porsche from Mercedes. Three different manufacturers inside the top three, although the Lamborghini and the Mercedes are conducting a few BOP tests in anticipation of more of those cars joining the grid next season. It does seem to be the Porsches that have been running best here so far this season. Bellici goes fourth fastest, just a few hundreds away from Ibanez in third.
Yeah, Fernando Navarrete as well finding time in the first two sectors. He's done a 31.356, 42.182 as well in the second sector. Green in those first two sectors, so looking to find that little bit extra though heading through sector 3, as we're going to see the cars plowing their way through the first sector again, having to dodge traffic, the Rosso Corsa, which isn't ideal for Andrea Bellici, and on a push lap as well, which isn't ideal. He's going to lose, I think, a considerable amount of time. So now have a look here now, and that's the Vertal Motorsport Ferrari, of course, car 19.
Oh, he's gone into the back of the GDL car there and just chipped the paint off that rear bumper.
It's just to lighten the load, that is, Chris. As we now have a look at Marzio Moretti, currently sat in the pit lane, getting ready to go out again. Obviously just sitting tight, 3 minutes and 18. They might decide to call it a day, though, depending on whether anyone can actually close the gap. I can tell you that Andrea Bellici still remains green in that first sector. As to whether he's going to marshal it off in sector 2 as well, that's another matter. Davide Scanaccio up towards the line. Where's he going to go? Still stays 12th fastest. 1:48.224, still a ways to go to catch up with Moretti. 1:43.520 to beat still, as we're now seeing as well Ivan Velasco finding improvements in sector 1, so could still yet launch a charge. Velasco down in 13th, of course partnering his championship comrade, that of course being Jorge Cabezas. These two who have led the way pretty much from start to finish, and certainly a sequence of results that have garnered them victories back-to-back at Portimao, not to mention victory at Monza, and then with podiums scattered in between, including that of Spa and Paul Ricard, and Monza in race 1 as well. As we now take a look at a replay, heading down into Seat corner. Oh, a tie-up between two Porsches. A little touch again on the rear left. That car's getting a lot of abuse right now.
Yes, that was a little bit more significant damage, although I think it came off of the SP car behind. But yes, a bit of drama for GTR there. Got two cars that have been in the wars. This is the third Vertal Motorsport car, which is the Art Design. A very nice livery for them as well. Stephen Licorice at the wheel of that 81 machine.
Luca Ludwig had a very animated start yesterday as well himself, did he not?
Yes, he was spun round at the first corner, having qualified in 5th place. Looks like he's taken the paint off the front right corner there as well. Actually, this car was involved in a bit of a I think shunt is a bit of a big word. And yeah, that's Moretti out of the car, isn't it? So he's packed up for this qualifying session, hasn't he? It looks like Lorison, Ibanez and Bellici have done the same as well. But yes, this car was speared into by the Lamborghini, actually. It was trying to round the penultimate corner during Thursday testing. Came across a slow-moving Kessel car. No, actually, sorry, it was the Kessel car that was trying to get round the slow-moving Lamborghini at the penultimate corner, dropped the car on the runoff area and speared right into the side of that 81 machine. When I went to go and speak to the team yesterday, they rather pointed out a bit of bandaged-up bodywork on that car. Quentin Antonell still running in the closing stages of this qualifying session. Just over 30 seconds left on the clock before the checkered flag comes out. Antonell currently putting that car on pole position. They are those two Q1 cars lying astern, but in the opposite order they were in the race yesterday. This time it's Antonell ahead of Prispolac, who's just come into the pits. The new champion for 2023, who will be settling for second by the looks of it. It doesn't look like Antonell's going to be improving on this lap either, as Fernando Navarrete in the number 19 Mertel Ferrari goes up to 9th ahead of our new champions, Ivan Velasco in number 80. Having said that, he just takes it back again and moves up to 9th place. The two Mertel cars will be starting line astern on the 5th row of the grid, and Antonell brings it into the pits as the checkered flag is out. We've still got 11 cars out on track, but it looks like it will be pole position for Oregon and Lamborghini and Marzio Moretti.
Yeah, fantastic result, certainly for Moretti, and bringing the Oregon team back to the front this time in GT Cup competition and taking a first pole position of the season as well. Jan Lorison remaining second fastest, running on board here with Ivan Velasco, who currently sits 9th fastest. Is improving though in Sector 1. Green currently with a 31.055 as he makes the climb up through Verve Curve, and he'll look to certainly escalate matters heading through Campsa, heading down towards turn 10. He is up now by just over 2.5 tenths of a second, improving on his best time, but the checkered flag is out. So Marzio Moretti, he believes he's done the job, and certainly based off what we're seeing from Ivan Velasco right now, it definitely looks home and host, as now we see the 77 EST1 of Indrik Jaska crossing the line. He comes across in 14th fastest, just ahead of Camille Perrien and Roberto Vecchio, who are down in 16th as well. And now rounding the next right-hander. But great scenes there for Team Oregon, bringing a Lamborghini back to the top in yet another GT Sport Organisation competition here, this time in the GT Cup Open. And certainly Moretti rubber stamping that fact that he is a very promising up-and-coming driver for Lamborghini.
Velasco just getting over the line in 7th place there, so starting behind man who's been troubling him for the championship most this season, Zander Prispolac in the 52. And Navarrete in 10th place there. Last car left out on track and gets back into pit lane. So it'll be Lamborghini from Porsche, from Mercedes, from Ferrari. All 4 of our manufacturers represented in the top 4 on the grid for the final race of the season. Here's the results of Q2 then. It's pole position for Lamborghini on their debut in the GT Cup Europe. Marzio Moretti for Team Oregon, fastest ahead of yesterday's race winner Jan Lorison. Luke Ibanez for NM Racing on their debut weekend, 3rd, and Andrea Bellici, all 4 manufacturers represented in the top 4. And pole position goes to Quentin Antonell on Q1 Track Racing. It's 1-2 for them in that class. Then our new champions, Ivan Velasco, starting in 7th, ahead of Alex Ryman, Evgeny Leonov, and Fernando Navarrete completing the top 10. Eugenio Pisani, Davide Scanicchio, and then Stephen Licorice, with a field of AM drivers behind them: Indrik Jaska, Camille Perrien, Roberto Vecchio, Stefano Zerbi, Glauco Solieri, and Alexandre Bochez. Now, those last 2 cars didn't actually get a time in that session, but we can hear from our pole sitter now.
Marzio Moretti, first time in the GT Cup. and pole position for race 2 already.
Yeah, it's been a great qualifying. Actually, it's been a very nice weekend here. It's my first time in the event series organized by GT Sport, and I think I gotta say it's a really nice weekend, nice organization, nice championship. We'll come here only for the last race to help out with the team. Give a hand to my teammate Enrico, who's doing also a really good job. We were able to use the new tires for this qualifying, and I think it showed a good pace. Now let's see if we can manage something better for the race, because it's the team. It's the first time we're using the Michelin tire on the Super Trofeo, and still we are getting up to speed with, but I think we can do some good steps for the race today.
And try to win, of course.
Obviously, that's always the target. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
He had a lot of very nice words to say, didn't he? But here is the top 3 from qualifying. It's Marzio Moretti on pole position for race 2 this weekend, the final race of the GT Cup Europe season in 2023. It will be Lamborghini on pole position. Jan Lauritsen and Luke Ibanez starting behind them. We will go green for the final race of the season at 3:10 local time. We'll see you then.